hope and pray that it was a blessed day, a safe day, and maybe a little bit refreshing with family and friends. I'm Jerry Usher, along with Debbie Georgiani.
I've ever seen in my life. I would highly recommend if folks can make a trip to Lake Tahoe to take during the 4th of July. Wow, what an experience. But yeah, we're back, and we've got a show that I have been waiting for absolutely.
Victims of crime and violence and terrorism and abuse and you name it, folks. And this is in no way to belittle those who are truly, truly victims. But basically what we want to look at is, I think, Debbie, over the last, what would you say, 30, 40 years, there's been this growing mentality among people that any little offense, any little thing that kind of gets...
because then where are the facts? Where is the truth? And then where can things be settled in a really just amicable way? When somebody automatically, that allows them to stay in that victim mode. There's all these kinds of angles we can take, but we have to hear from you because you drive the show. 1-800-585-9396. That's the number to call, so hurry quickly, dial in.
Maybe you've got a personal experience, somebody that you know, or maybe someone you don't know who has cried victim to you. Maybe there was a situation in your life and somebody has kind of come at you, at least verbally, if not in other ways, and said, hey, wait a minute, you got in my way, you trampled on my rights, I'm a victim because of what you did or something. Or maybe you see one of these big picture examples that are in the news. I remember Debbie, and I'm not happy that this happened to this person, but that whoever that was spilled the hot coffee on their lap at a fast food restaurant. It's been a number of years ago now, and then they turn around and sue the restaurant. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's written all over the cup, contents are hot. And if you're holding the cup, you can feel that it's hot, and it's probably got a lid on it, and you're driving your car, so there are going to be things kind of wobbling around, and you got to set it down somewhere. And this person, claims to be a victim because they, I don't know if they were careless with their coffee or what, but this is the kind of thing that we're talking about, dear friends, is have we crossed a line? Does it go too far? Because, Debbie, I think then it takes away from the legitimacy of those who truly are victims.
That's very true. It ruins it for the ones that really do and really should benefit from being a victim. And then that's unfortunate. So let's talk about it today. Let's really explore this idea, because the other thing, too, is these victim mentalities, I believe, Jerry, really start out in childhood. Depending on maybe where you grew up, how you grew up, if you felt a certain way in your family, maybe you grew up in a big family and you kind of got mixed in the shuffle of 6 or 8 or 9 kids, and all of a sudden you develop the skills, if you will, to very easily fall into that victim mentality. And maybe that has something to do with it, Jerry. Maybe that's part of the reason why it's so easy as a culture that we fall into it. But it's going to be a fascinating discussion. I think we're all going to walk away a little bit educated and changed from one another. And that's a good thing, because that means we're growing. We're growing closer to God. We're learning more about ourselves and becoming the best version of ourselves, which is exactly what God has intended for us.
How does this play into the spiritual life? I think, if we fall into, if we cross the line in this victim thinking, then, Debbie, that's getting into self-pity.
Let's discuss it, because out of what you call in can really benefit a soul, or many souls, or thousands of souls. But we got to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396, or you can text us. You text the letters EWTN to 55000. This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. When we come back, we're going right to the phones.
Living the Beatitudes with Father Bjorn.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Saint Josemaria Escriva says that we are called to light up the pathways of this earth by being sowers of peace and joy. This comes from being aware that we are sons and daughters of God. On the road of life, though, we find dangers, but God walks with us every step of our life, pouring out the gifts of His Holy Spirit upon us. Our Lady is our companion, like GPS in our car, connected to the cloud and bringing the latest updates to help us navigate our journey and get out of traffic on the way to the eternal kingdom. We don't want to get into family fights on our way to God's vacation destination, but we should be these sowers of peace and joy. We shouldn't accept substitutes, accept only the authentic identity of being His children, His sons and daughters. Let's grow in happiness and bring peace to those around us. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Be touched by the sacredness of the most blessed sacrament, the resting place of Mother Angelica.
Make it come a day of taking your presentation to the next level of success. For information on booking Jerry and Debbie, visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo.
This is Father.
Let's understand this better so that we can all kind of come away, as Debbie says, a little bit better after the program. And we're not, taking nothing away from those. We have a world full of real victims today. And that's why I feel like it's even more, if I can use the word insulting, that sometimes so many people just fall into this, I'm a victim just so easily. A car cuts you off on the road and you just want to pull up next to the person and, tell them off or something. And so where's the line in this? And have we crossed the line? And what can we do about it? And how does it tie into our spiritual life and maybe stunt our relationship with God? 1-800-585-9396. Ready for calls, Deb?
Ready, and I've got my pen and my paper. I'm ready to take notes as well. So this is good. Dee, you're first up in Midland, Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Dee. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Good morning. This morning in the newspaper, I read an article that said that nearly 95 million people have removed themselves entirely from the job market. I was just absolutely floored at that number of people. And it said that only 55% of American adults ages 18 to 64 have full-time jobs. I just don't understand that. My husband and I both worked into our 70s, and we never did not work. What about this do I not understand? Is the welfare state to blame? What is going on in our country where a third of the population chooses not to work?
Debbie, I have a couple thoughts, but go ahead, ladies first, if you'd like.
No, you go ahead, Jerry. I'm curious as to what you're going to say about this.
Well, Dee, I think you've touched upon something there. I think we definitely have connected to this victim mentality. We have an entitlement mentality as well. And when you've got people who are going to throw free stuff at you, and again, this is taking away nothing from those. There are a lot of people who would like to have work, can't find work, are down on their luck and going through hard times, and we ought to help them. We ought to help them in very abundant ways. But I think when you're talking about numbers like this, yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who just simply want to be at the gravy train, at the feet at the trough, as they say. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's part of it. And another phenomenon, Dee and Debbie, that I've been hearing more about recently is young people, for some reason. I heard the story of this young lady, very successful, went to, I think, an Ivy League school, got a very prestigious degree, got a job at a wonderful firm, and about 6 months into it, decided, hey, I just don't want to work. And so she went off and started her own, kayak lesson company, giving kayak lessons or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was working, but I wonder, Debbie and Dee, if among young people, there's just the whole work ethic just isn't being assimilated by them. I don't know. That's just a thought that I have.
Well, that's almost similar, Dee, to my take on it as well. I was actually going to use the word entitlement. Jerry used it, which is exactly right. And my take on it, Dee, is that I think it's easier sometimes for people to opt out if they feel that somebody else is going to foot the bill or take care of it. Why work if you have to? That kind of mentality. And it's really quite sad because we've lost this element of being proud of our work, being productive human beings, getting on a schedule and having to have deadlines and things that we have to report to. All those disciplines help us
responsible.
And be responsible. Those actually help us in our spirituality. And another thing that these folks, these 95 million, if that's what you read, I feel sad because those 95 million are opting also out of that aspect of it as well, of being very productive workforce, and that's unfortunate. So I think it's just it's a sad state of affairs we're in, Dee. What do you think about what our takes were?
I think.
Well, I agree with you, because I think it's really sad. We've lost Jerry, like you were sharing about that gal that just stopped working what she was doing and then opened up this place or whatever that she felt more passionate about. I think that's the key, though, Dee. I think somehow a lot of folks have lost their passion. They've lost their passion for
Perhaps a mandatory 2-year public service requirement, with an off-ramp for those who could snag a job, could get motivated once they get off and stay off the couch. That just makes sense to me.
Well, there are a lot of different solutions to maybe motivating people to become more responsible and productive, as you were saying there, Debbie. So, Dee, you've kicked us off here with our phone calls on a great note there. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, and thanks for helping to drive the program today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We appreciate it very much. A lot of phone calls to get to here.
Particular case, it was an elderly woman who was burned pretty badly, and she did not sue for such a large amount. I believe she was going for medical costs, but it was the government that slapped this very high victim. And
okay, thank you,
again,
Rose.
being elderly, I think she got burned very badly because her tissues are, more likely to get burned badly because of her age.
Good. Yeah, thank you for that additional information. Appreciate that. So what else? Did you have another take on this, Rose?
No, well, the only other take I can think of, I have children coming to age in the work world. They have some friends that don't work. I find it astonishing. Haven't gotten their driver's license, haven't worked. This is college age I'm talking about now. And I'm astonished that their parents haven't put them out. It's not true in my son's friend's case, but I wonder, I see this in kind of the work that I do, that there's the legalization of marijuana sometimes is, I think, causing people to sort of lose their gumption, their drive. It sort of makes you chill about everything. And the other thing, too, is I am old enough to have had parents who remembered the Depression. And having a job was a big deal, and it was always driven home to us as children that having a job was a very big deal. You took it very seriously. You never called out unless you were truly ill. Anybody that had a job was honored just for that reason, because not everybody had a job at that time. So, and I think we're far away from the Depression, far away from the world.
To maybe go out and find a job. That's unfortunate, because they're not instilling, if I may say, those virtues that these young adults need to work on to become mature. I mean, how are these kids, if you will, these college-age kids?
I do too. I mean, this one friend of my son's I'm thinking of, he's very nice. He's very nice, but I don't know what he's going to do as far as sustaining his own livelihood when his parents decide, well, this is it, or they pass away, or whatever. I don't know what he's going to do because he hasn't a lead. It's
a different world.
It's a different world, and there are,
Sure
I
is.
think, multiple contributing factors as you try to figure out why people are lacking in motivation.
Right. Way to go, Rose. Thanks. Great take.
Thank you, Rose.
We appreciate you joining us here on Take Two with Jerry. The help that they need and the protection and so forth, and yet there are so often these crazy things that you see. You're going, I can't believe that this person was awarded this or that or whatever.
Yeah,
So-
well, people know how to work the system, and that's the unfortunate thing. And it ruins it for the ones that truly have been victimized and they need assistance. It's ruined it for them because others know how to play the system and the legal system, and it's unfortunate. I agree with you. I can't even open the newspaper because of that, Jerry. You'll hear stories almost daily of people that have just cried wolf on things, and it's unbelievable. Brandy, you've been waiting so patiently. You're listening in Houston, Texas on the EWTN app. Hi, Brandy. Welcome to Take
sort of around, despairing and thinking things are just so horrible and it's so bad, I mean, I've had kind of a rough shake in life, and if I just was angry and sad all the time, I would have gotten anywhere and would just be, living on mom's couch still,
But even the population at large, but Brandy, I think you're right, especially among young people. And I would ask this question as they look around the world, and we're all called to kind of we're all called to make our own way, create our own opportunities, pursue opportunities. But I wonder, Brandy and Debbie, if young people look around today and they don't see a lot of reason to be hopeful. I wonder, is that what do you think?
Well, Brandy, what do you think first?
In terms of like the lack of morality in the wider culture, and things can just feel very futile a lot of the time. But I feel like a lot of that, a lot of the
press was very profound. I could listen to you all day. You're fabulous. But you are absolutely. But let me share this one other thing. It sounds like these young adults are feeling defeated right out of the gate. And if you have that, if you feel defeated right when you're taking that first step forward, well, of course it's going to go downhill from there, because the mindset is way off. That's my thought on it. And you're right. I have talked to a lot of college age kids that say, what's the point of college anymore? Wow. I cannot. You're right. Absolutely right. And Jerry, how do we switch that? How do we change that? I mean, you don't want kids to just not finish their educational goals just because they think they're not going to get a job.
Well, I tell family, friends, anybody who will listen, especially my nephews and nieces, I say, the most important thing you'll ever do is get your education. And I'm talking not just high school, but go on. You're going to be way ahead of your peers. Unfortunately, there was a time when everybody would come out with a college degree, and you had competition, and you had to fight for a good job. Nowadays, it's pretty much yours if you get a really good education. Brandy, thank you.
Father Larry Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck, and this is an EWTN bookmark brief. I just finished interviewing Father Wilfred Emma about his new book, New Media and the Christian Family. Tell us, Father Wilfred, what's this book about?
New message is that families are disconnected because of the new media.
Thank you so much. Yes. Father Wilfred Emma, author of New Media and the Christian Family, available through the EWTN Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. Look for the whole interview coming soon to EWTN's Bookmark. I'm Doug Keck, and this has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief.
EWTN is now on Twitter. Get short, timely messages from EWTN on your computer or cell phone. It's easy to stay up to date on a wide variety of topics. Pro-life news, Vatican announcements, catechesis, apologetics, the latest EWTN programming, and more. You can link to EWTN on Twitter from our homepage.
Of this sharing notes, and so thank you for responding. Next up is Carlos, waiting so patiently in Honolulu, Hawaii. Aloha on the iHeartRadio app. Hi, Carlos.
Oh, hi, this is Carlos. Nice to hear you guys, and great to have you guys on the radio. That we have become a very selfish society. It's all about me, and we forget about others. We don't want to sacrifice things for the good of everybody else. Sometimes laws in these countries are made, and is it difficult on us? Sometimes, yes, but sometimes we have to go through it in order to make things better, not just only for us, but for others. Sometimes we have to sacrifice, and we don't do that well.
Yeah. I think that's a bullseye, Carlos. I think you really hit on something right there. And I will point I've said this so many times, I think even on this show, Carlos and Debbie, I'm the most selfish person I know. So, Carlos, I can relate to what you're saying. And I'm not being flippant when I say that. I really do find myself thinking and acting very selfishly so often. And it can be, Debbie, you've ridden with me in the car. You know how irritated I get when people do silly things and things that I don't like and stuff. So, yeah, Carlos, I know what you're talking about. And, Debbie, I think he has really pinpointed something here. It's really only when we give and sacrifice and defer to others and show kindness and politeness and charity that we're really going to see a harmonious society and culture that he's really saying that we don't have.
I'm completely concur with that. We've fallen away quite far away. I, for one, I'm going to tell you, I'm guilty of it because I did fall away, but I caught who were in my situation. But I think we do have to be more selfless and look out for the needs of others. And sometimes, when things have to be done, is it going to hurt us? Sometimes we have to suck it up and say for the good of the world, for our country. I'm retired military. I look at God first, country and family, all those things. We lost total priority. We don't have respect for our own country. Our country is going away from what we were founded on. And it's just not, like the previous caller talked about the youth. I concur with the youth, but we've done this for a while. Our parents have done it, and elderly people are doing it right now. They've fallen away from Christ, and they've become more selfish as well. And I think it's been a learned experience for our younger adults, and we've enabled them to do what they do right now. So we have to change the tide and make it better and more selfless country. And I think we can do that. And I tell you the truth, I honestly think we are gaining more Christians, even though you may not think that. But
there are a lot of young people today who really are looking at the world that Carlos is describing and saying, wait a minute, that's not enough. That's not what God is calling me to. He's calling me.
Look forward with Christ as the focus and really go in that direction rather than the direction that the culture is going right now. And I do agree with you. I think there is a lot of hope because I think, this is my personal opinion, I think a lot of people are,
I just think, we represent Christ, and let's be good people and help those people who have fallen and lift them up, because that's an act of the living. Focus on Him, will be a much better place.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And Carlos, to tie all that you said into today's topic on the program, you said early call, we really appreciate that. You imparted a lot of great stuff to us.
Absolutely. And Jerry, you thanked him for how...
Trying to finish up at Arizona State University.
That's right. How you doing?
But I'm not too bad. Back in Ohio right now. But there was an article by Father Andrew Greeley on the old sin of pride. It's that kind of pride which comes from defining oneself as a victim. One argues from a demographic attribute that one possesses and another does not, that one is superior morally to the other and can, therefore, enjoy the power of demanding confession, penitence, and restitution from them. And,
wow.
I'm thinking, like, me an American Indian, there's still a lot of American Indians that have animosity towards the church.
Because of the way they were treated?
Yeah. The way they're treated, the things that have happened. And I'm thinking, that's one area that really needs to be reached out in a true way to the real victims.
Yeah, I'm not personally aware of situations. You may be the other side of how many conversions and people were brought to the church and to Christ by the missionaries and so forth. So I would take a little bit of a different. Are certainly gaining quite handsomely from these as well. So I think there might be other angles that we could take on that. But anyway, Debbie, go ahead. I'm just rambling here.
No, I was just going to say, Tim, here where I live in the Diocese of Phoenix, our bishop does just a phenomenal job at bringing all the different cultures together under the banner of the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Phoenix, and it's really wonderful. We have our Arizona Rosary celebration every year, and our wonderful brothers and sisters, Native Americans, come out and they do their specific dances that represent their belief, and it's just beautiful. We celebrate together, and so I think more of that needs to happen, and I agree with you that the more we can really come together as we are with the Universal Church and come together and we celebrate the different nuances that we bring to the church, but ultimately, going back to what Carlos said, it's Christ-centered because we're Eucharist-centered. The better we'll be because we'll be very united. So I think I'm sort of with you on this, Tim, and I also think too that the idea of being a victim. For our own health and for our own spiritual health. So I think I'm along the lines with you, Tim. What do you find any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, because I think this article hits that on the head because it talks about basically abusing that. It's like, wait a minute, and this uses it from Paul's point of view. It's like we're all one. Okay,
exactly.
It's like, neither Jew nor German. Neither. I like how he puts it. Neither Jew nor German, gay nor straight, Irish nor English, black nor white, male nor female, Arab nor Jew, but all one in Christ Jesus.
All right, Tim, very well done. Thank you so much for being with us on the program, and good luck. I hope that your pursuits of getting your degree there at Arizona State works out well for you there. Thanks for calling from Findlay, Ohio. Jan in New Jersey, hang on. I just got to mention that here we're talking about every day on this show, Debbie, I believe we have conversations that really are impactful and meaningful and important, and it's important that we be educated, that we be intelligent, articulate, Catholic Christians and even non-Catholics we have listening to the program. And so Catholic News Agency is a fast and reliable and free Catholic news source. It's got blogs, stories, opinions, and a whole lot more. You'll find it at CatholicNewsAgency.com. And I know you join me in just encouraging all of our listeners to tap into that on a regular basis.
Absolutely, 100%. So please do. Okay, as promised, Jan, you have been waiting. Jan, you definitely got our Virtual Patience Award in New Jersey. I love it. Sirius XM 130. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Jan.
Hi. My thoughts are, while a lot is true about what's being said with today's youth, I feel a lot of this negativity needs to be put on the adults. On me and on the young people, ones that, like the woman, if she can support herself, giving rides in the kayak, go for it. Who's to say that,
Tom Snyder used to say, fair enough. I agree, Jan. I really, and getting back to that young lady, that I was not necessarily criticizing her so much as just saying she went through all these years, probably paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for that degree, and then she just realized that maybe being in a corporate work setting was not for her, and maybe she's making $1 million a year teaching kayaking lessons. I don't know, but I think one thing that I would say is, remember, Debbie and Jan, generations ago, there was always this kind of, it was almost a playful knock on young people, like, oh, you kids, you'll learn someday. And it seems like, and then as young people became young adults, they developed more of that responsibility and that work ethic and that dedication and motivation and all of that. Now I think people are kind of carrying that into adulthood, whereas maybe before that wasn't the case. I don't know. Is that a fair observation, Debbie, do you think?
He's working with the earth. And my other daughter is trying to provide home meals to people. So, and they're not making money, but they're happy. And well, I don't know. I just went.
We were stressing on this show that you had to go the corporate route. We were just saying that at the beginning, our first caller, Dee, called in and shared how 95 million have opted out of the workforce. So that's how we transitioned to this whole idea. But you said something very important. Your son and your daughter are pursuing passions. They may not be making tens of millions of dollars, but you said your son is happy. He feels Christ. He feels like he's doing a good work like that, working in the farm and in nature. Your daughter's pursuing a passion. I think the thing that's being uncovered here in this discussion is that kids and even adults have lost their passion. And that's unfortunate, because when you lose your passion, now you are going to be sitting on the couch watching TV, ordering stuff online, and just, thinking, why do I even bother? Nobody really cares what I...
If she's going to be bringing home meals to mothers that have just given birth.
Okay. Well, and the reason I ask is, Jan, as I look at those two career choices, if you will, I see people who are selfless, who are in the home as they've been growing up. I really applaud you for that.
Me too. I agree, Jan. You did a great job with your children.
Okay, well, hopefully...
I'm actually calling from a Catholic high school. I listen to you almost every day. I work in the morning at a laundromat. And when I got out, the girl that had a corporate job after she went to college, and then she went and started her own business, kayak lessons.
Sure.
Are you still there?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Okay. So when he got a job in biology and it was, not as satisfying, he was like disheartened. And he says, I said, my thing is, if you have a good job and if that's drilled into you for 4 years and you keep trying and trying and then they come out with a lot of debt, I think that's not, conducive to what we were taught. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Go ahead, Deb. I got a thought, but go
Well,
ahead,
I was
Deb.
just going to say that makes really good sense, Mary Lou, because you really do have to be consistent in your work, and then you're right. Other things can surface that may be more to when you work in the work world, and that's an important skill to learn. So I agree with you, Mary Lou. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe in a way that's an unfortunate message to be giving kids in college. Because sometimes you are, and I think that's okay. I think sometimes too you have to just you may know what your passion is. You may go to school for that passion, but you may have to take another job or a little bit of a circuitous route to get there.
Yeah.
So
I agree. The other thing too, Mary Lou and Jerry, when I got my graduate degree in theology, I can't tell you how many people laughed at me. They said, you'll never get work with it. I don't know what you're thinking, but I really wanted to do it. It was such a deep-rooted passion in me. It was a longing to want to know more about God. And look where I'm sitting today, which I never thought in my wildest dreams I would be on a radio show with Jerry Usher. Never. So
all of that. Interesting conversation, Debbie. I think we're going to have tomorrow.
Oh, we're going to have another great show. It's all because of you. Thank you so much for making this such a popular show. Until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you real soon.